Hello and welcome to the Studio Demands It, an exercise in creative thinking where, damn it.
It sounded like a knock. Hello.
Split second into starting the episode here. That stays the toddler goblin above me in this apartment complex. Just all hours of the day and night, just. Welcome to the Studio Demands It. This is an exercise in creative thinking where we will conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film based on the demands and stipulations from one of you listeners acting as a hypothetical Hollywood overlord. See, last week, I believe you said overlord and I thought that was your new catchphrase.
Oh, wait.
That's all right.
Well, sorry. I'm distracted. I'll make a little confession.
Yeah.
I am very sleep deprived.
Oh,
this
no.
week. I don't know. I've been staying up too late playing video games and
sleepy Jim Burzelic.
Waking up too early to, fulfill obligations.
Ugh, adulting. Well, hold up, folks. We talk movies all the time, as you can hear here.
All the time. And you can hear here.
And professionals. We are professional screenwriters, Jim. We are paid to write. And as avid cinephiles as well, we'd like to believe that we can meet any demand thrown at us right here on the spot. We'll be your screenwriters for this episode. I am TC DeWitt, and joining me, as sleepy as he might be, is Jim
Overlord. Wait.
Okay, Overlord Burzelic.
Yes.
Isn't there a movie called Overlord?
There is.
What is that one?
It's a Weird World War II.
Weird World. Okay.
Or Weird War II, I guess would
Overlord.
be the genre. It's a monster movie that takes place during World War II.
Oh, wasn't there theories that was going to be a Cloverfield period movie?
There was, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't.
No.
Okay. It's a World War II.
It was produced by J.J. Abrams, and that's why.
When his name is on something, people just automatically assume, is this Cloverfield related?
Yeah.
At this point now, after the third Cloverfield, I think it's, let's hope this is not Cloverfield related.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's a demand we haven't gotten yet.
That's true.
A Cloverfield demand. Because that 10 Cloverfield Lane is the best really of the three. And I know there's some people who take umbrage with that ending where
I liked the first.
The found footage one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think 10 Cloverfield Lane was better. Yeah.
Yeah. You got John Goodman in there right away. You've just elevated it.
That's true.
John Goodman's amazing.
It's right in his name.
Yeah. He's a good man.
Yeah.
Oh, unless you meant John. Do I not know the interpretation of John? What does John mean? Good man?
It means good man.
Good man, good man.
So his name.
So Overlord was a weird World War II movie.
I say that because they had Nazi super science was involved.
Is it werewolves?
No.
Zombies?
No.
Vampires?
Monster super soldiers.
Monster super is just Frankensteins.
Yeah.
Nazi Frankenstein monsters.
Kind of, yeah. Frankenstein's like they're trying to work on super soldier type stuff. I mean, they didn't call it that, but I mean that's always what it what it was for. Immortality serums, stuff like that.
Mutation.
Yeah,
it is the key to our evolution.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the rest of the quote, but it's the beginning of that X-Men movie.
Oh,
yeah. Well. Howdy doody. Why don't we just move into the actual demand for the day? Because you listeners out there have given us demands from studios literally all over the world.
All over the world.
And these demands, you're just repeating everything I say. I know we went over this last week.
You
can get us your submissions over at studiodemands.com or on Twitter at studiodemandsit. You can also send us any demand you like, and we will have to make up something right here on the spot. Thanks to everyone who has submitted. So keep them coming, Jim. Let's get to this demand, okay?
Yes.
This comes from Renault from Ace in the Hole Studios. And Renault actually hit me up on Twitter specifically at TC's Big Head. You can also reach Jim there. This is from Renault. With the multiverse of madness coming, Doctor Strange 2, and the hint of a certain mutant in the trailer, what is the future of mutants in the MCU? As of now, there's only one contract on the table that is still a real thing from the Fox merger. What the hell is Channing Tatum going to do with Gambit? Better question, what are you two going to do with him? Here is the demand. Insert Gambit into the current MCU. He is the entry mutant into this universe. Not Wolverine, not the X-Men. Gambit kicks off the mutants in the MCU proper. Ooh. Our demand is to not just do a Gambit movie, but make Gambit the insert, like the first mutant in the MCU. This is a bold demand here, right? Because we're playing in the MCU. We've been here before in various demands, but this is a very interesting specific one. I don't feel like we've had this specific of a demand in quite some time.
Yeah.
So Gambit as our original, like the first MCU mutant. So
that's a weird place to start.
It is a weird place to start because, well, then the question is, do we start current, right? So like on the timeline, the most current, like the late, like the thing furthest on the timeline is Hawkeye. That's the furthest on the MCU timeline right now.
As of this recording.
As of this recording, yes.
And you're not counting Multiverse of Madness.
Right. Multiverse of Madness isn't, at the time of recording, isn't out yet.
But the trailers are, so that footage.
We have a sense of the footage of Multiverse of Madness, but we don't know where it takes place.
It could all be lies.
It could take place after Hawkeye, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Because like,
I see what you're saying.
The Spider-Man Far From Home into No Way Home takes place before Eternals, and then Eternals and Hawkeye happen somewhere around the same time. It's hard to say. This timeline's a little bit in flux. But the reason I bring that up is, do we insert Gambit right now, or do we find a sneaky way to get him in the past? You know what I'm saying? Like Captain Marvel was retroactively inserted into the 90s, a couple decades before Avengers. Captain America, the first Avenger, is a period piece as well. So they've done this before. Guardians of the Galaxy, they've found entry points to drop things in. So I would just ask you right away, what are you more interested in doing? Putting Gambit currently or figuring out a way to put him in the past?
Well, this is a rare episode where I knew we were going to be...
you knew it was coming.
I did.
You knew it was coming. All right.
I had forewarning, so I was able to give it a bit of thought.
Okay.
But only a little bit.
All right. Well, that is fair.
Can't think too hard.
You got some insider information before we had to pitch to the studio.
Yeah.
And I will admit, though, I did know we were going to do this demand. I didn't know specifically what the demand's wording was going to be. So I've given this no thought.
Okay.
All I know is that do we really want Channing Tatum to play this character? Is sort of my first question here.
Well, we have to.
Well, okay. Let's just take off that question off the table. Whether or not he's good enough, who cares? Gambit's the character we're talking about. Character. Whether Channing Tatum plays him or not.
Yeah. I know we tended to avoid the casting game.
Shoot, you know what? It's worth mentioning. Channing Tatum does have a good comedic timing to him.
Sure. Yeah. I'm who would be a better Gambit?
It's not necessarily recasting or deciding who should play the character. I'm just saying it's not necessary to determine who's playing Gambit. If it's Channing Tatum, fine. What I'm here to do is pitch the story.
Sure.
And tell you this is what we're going to do with the character in the MCU. So but I haven't really wrapped my mind around what I'm going to do here.
Well, then I will start.
All right. Hit me.
I know I'm gonna start with. I have all kinds of ideas. I don't have a single idea here. So
as we say, throw that spaghetti at the wall. And
here I go. I love I love throwing spaghetti.
It's a mess. Why'd you leave the sauce on?
When Infinity War was happening, when Infinity War came out and Endgame came out and all that, I had the thought this would be a very interesting place to introduce mutants, to have the snap, either one of them somehow trigger the X factor.
Okay, right. That typically in the mutant lore that we've gotten through the decades of X-Men and mutants, it's some sort of teenage year in their teenage adolescent years, some sort of traumatic event activates your X gene and gives you your mutant ability. Yeah. Usually contextual to what's stressing you out.
Yeah. It does kind of by setting it that way, by having mutants start manifesting now, mutations start manifesting right now, and now being the snap. So I guess 5 years ago at this point, 5 years isn't much history, and it kind of undermines the entire backstory of Xavier and Magneto and Mr. Sinister and so forth.
Yeah, the idea that if not World War II, which is where Charles and
Originally
Eric originally met, and like even like advancing that to Desert Storm like they did in the Ultimates. Well, they played with Desert Storm with Wolverine and Nick Fury, blah, blah. Having them come from a wartime scenario and giving us decades of X-Men before they become public. You've pointed this out before. The amount of adjusting to the source material that the MCU has done has been pretty minimal.
It has.
They have stuck rather closely to the sources of all these characters and therefore taking away a war, whether it's World War II or what have you, from the X-Men might be a bigger leap than they've ever made before. But we don't have Charles and Eric and the other characters to play with. So we might not even need to consider them yet.
Well, I mean, sort of. The reason that I started there is because I feel like to introduce the mutants, even if it is through the lens of Gambit, you kind of have to figure out the landscape. So that's what I wanted to explore.
He's the first, as it's worded, he's the entry mutant into the MCU, not necessarily the first mutant.
Yeah. That's what
I see
was.
what you're saying.
That was my interpretation.
Right. So we can establish what is the mutant lore within the MCU.
Yeah.
And we, much like Shang-Chi introduced us to like a realm of the 10 rings and that whole, that's been around forever apparently, or Doctor Strange introduced us to the mystical land in the mountains, and they've always been there. We're just now meeting them.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
I suppose mutants could be the same thing. They're people that have lived among us with these abilities, but they just went unnoticed for a number of reasons. And that maybe there has been a movement for decades to secure mutant rights and things like that. And so you could justify having Xavier and Magneto having a very storied history.
That they have been around since World War II. Well, I also want to put on the record that I do not think any of the existing X-Men mythology should remain.
Oh, really?
I don't think, and I mean, specifically the movie, the Fox,
I see what you're
Fox X-Men movies, I think, fine, that pocket of the multiverse can exist, but I do not want any of those actors or any of those storylines to be folded into the MCU.
Gotcha.
I just don't think it's much like when Superman gets cast and they're like, oh, why didn't they have Tom Welling play Superman? Okay. You tell a normal movie going audience they have to watch 10 years of Smallville in order to understand what's going on. That's just not how it works. We have to start fresh.
Sure.
So with the MCU reintroducing X-Men and mutants, it makes the most amount of sense to go, you do not need to have seen anything else that's come before this. This is the new starting point here.
Well, I mean, if we're taking pointers from No Way Home, though, they did.
Yes. Okay, fair. That you can fold in the beloved characters of, and don't get me wrong, I would love to see Hugh Jackman and Chris Evans fighting with each other.
Sure.
Not against each other, but alongside World War II flashback. I would love to see that. And I do not envy anyone who has to play Wolverine next, because that's some big 6'3" shoes to fill.
I have an idea.
Okay.
And it's going, and we're going to see all of these characters in this. We're following Gambit. We're following Remy.
Remy Lebe.
My idea is okay. So I gave it all this thought, and I didn't think of how to actually.
You gotta sell it to me, man.
Out there.
This elevator's going quick.
So Gambit's our main character. So what he did before he became an X-Man was he was a thief, right? So I propose a heist movie. Now you might be thinking, oh, wait a minute. Ant-Man was a heist movie. It kind of was. It was a much more happy-go-lucky heist movie. I'm thinking of one where it's a bunch of people who don't necessarily, like, they're professionals. They're not friends. And it's not necessarily, they're not nice. And so I'm thinking there's going to be a bunch of betrayal.
Now, are we talking Ocean's 11 or Heat? Like, what's the heist here? Because
somewhere between.
Okay.
Somewhere between Ocean's 11, Heat, and Reservoir Dogs is where I'm imagining the heist being.
Finding an MCU equivalent of all those smashed together. I mean, let's get Edgar Wright back involved and let him have this chance, like Baby Driver with Gambit.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Even that, actually, well, I mean, if we're going to talk about Baby Driver, I actually thought Baby Driver was a little too nice.
Okay.
Like,
well, this is MCU. You can't go rated R here.
Baby Driver is another conversation.
Okay.
No, I don't plan on going R. I thought some characters had some turns that only made sense so the story could happen.
Gotcha. Conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Okay, so heist movie. I like
so heist movie.
Yeah.
So Gambit gets hired into this crew of a bunch of people who all seem to have some sort of ability, abilities that are going to somehow help out with this particular job. And it's not very. I wouldn't want to frame it as like man in the shadows type mysterious, a little more like Reservoir Dogs in that like we're not going to know each other, so we're going to refer to each other by some special names, so like stuff like that.
Gambit would be his code name kind of thing. Okay,
so, something kind of like that.
That's a fun way to introduce monikers, like superhero monikers. If it's like Yellow Jacket is the villain from Ant-Man. He's never actually called Yellow Jacket, but having okay, continue. I just had a thought about where to go with this. And
so we meet several characters, and I want to bury the lead there, but they're all essentially mutants, and I have an idea of who some of them would be. I'm not going to get in that. They've been hired to steal something. I'm not sure what the MacGuffin is yet. I have at least one idea.
Tony Stark tech?
Nope. Maybe they're told it's Tony Stark tech. Maybe that's what it is. But they are told they need to sneak into a very elite upstate New York school. I'll just and steal a piece of technology. It's in the form of a helmet.
Cerebro.
It was taken from our benefactors. It was taken from him, and he wants it back. So we're being paid to do that. And so this crew is put together, and they are sneaking into or breaking into Xavier's school to steal Cerebro. And I'm imagining so like they have encounters with the students there, and why does everyone have crazy abilities here?
There's
what's
a
happening?
Whole
what
underground
is the school? Oh yeah, and then the insanely sophisticated technology and
this place is more fortified than Fort Knox. What kind of school is this?
Yeah. And they get out with the helmet, and through encountering the people there, Remy Gambit has some sort of change of heart. And so now he turns on the crew. And steals the helmet back from them to return to the school with it.
So if he feels this is how, okay, so you're suggesting that mutants have been around. We stick to like the X-Men lore that they are like hidden from society. So even more so than Inhumans, the mutants have been around, and maybe Charles is doing his like worldwide mind wipe so people don't know mutants exist. And so our main character, Remy, is someone who doesn't feel like he has anywhere he belongs. He feels like a freak. He feels like a loner, and he is a part of a heist crew, thieves guild, whatnot, where we're not friends, we just work together kind of thing. And going to the X Mansion to steal the Cerebro, seeing that there's so many more people like him out there, there's a place for him now. And he feels some sort of allegiance to that. I'm extrapolating off of what you've suggested here, because you've created a very simple but elegant plot of following a character, giving them a change of heart. There's a real simple arc here. Like this works really well for a pretty straightforward movie with some fun to be had in there. So he decides to bring Cerebro back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now he steals it from the people he stole it for. What we learn, we would learn who half the people are in the crew through the theft. But then we learn that they're associated with some other people with some crazy abilities. And we learn he now has to steal the helmet back from Magneto.
And the Brotherhood of Mutants.
Yeah, we could.
Nice.
We could even suggest all of them. That's the gist. From there, I was trying to figure out, well, who could or would be on the crew, and I think if you set it at the right time of X-Men and sort of reframe it, I think you make Mystique.
This is heist crew. This is the
heist crew. This is a bad guy. The first job breaking into X Manor.
Gotcha.
It's led by Mystique, who we don't know is Mystique right away. It's just some person, some maybe even they're a shadowy figure.
Yeah.
And then at some point they shapeshift into something else.
Yeah.
And so I don't know when we necessarily would. Probably somewhere. At least once we would see who Mystique. We would see the blue skinned Mystique. But otherwise, she's just shifting into all kinds of different people.
Who else you got?
And she pretty much leads the crew because Magneto put her in charge of putting it together. But I figured this would also be a fun way to meet Rogue, where she is already Mystique's understudy.
Oh, and she's part of the crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that works
that's the origin of the character in the comics.
And that stays true to what we were saying earlier, that the MCU has stayed pretty close and true to the original origin. So having Rogue, having her part of the crew, and Gambit sort of taking a shine to her and being like, come on, let's get out of here.
Or her taking a shine to him.
We're better than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Let's go back to that school, right? Even she could be someone who she very much feels like an outsider because she can't become in contact with people. She could
also, I don't know what they're going to, I don't know if they plan on going this direction, but it also sets her up to eventually get Captain Marvel's
powers. Yeah.
I don't know if that's something the MCU would want to do.
I would
we're going to depower one of our characters.
or just like suck enough power out of her that they don't necessarily nerf Captain Marvel, but she is like the top right now. Like
that's true.
She's probably is the strongest MCU character right now. Maybe more than Hulk. That'd be up for debate. Conversation for another day.
Yeah.
I like the idea. I like what you're pitching here. But I want to add this little element in here that the mutants have been around. They have remained in secret. They are not save the world level of power, right? I kind of like the idea. So Xavier's mission is to make the world a safer place for mutants, but it's not at the end of a bullhorn, right? He's not necessarily going to Washington and doing all these things. What he's teaching these kids is he's teaching them how to live full lives without fear. Yes.
But also he's trying to keep them safe. And what they're fighting is they're going out to fight mutants that are giving mutants a bad name. So it's about suppression of bad PR essentially. And yeah. I would like that rather than the one we that's sort of come to the forefront so far in the movies and the comics where he's like, no, mutants.
Well, even in the movies of saving the world from apocalypse, like literally shaking the planet core, like none of that. I like the idea of the X-Men existing in the MCU and remaining and willingly and wanting to not be a part of the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Even going so far as once they're revealed in this movie, even if only catching the attention of Hawkeye, of Falcon, of Shang-Chi, of someone of a little more stature in the Avengers world as well, in the MCU at large, to come to Remy or come to Charles or come to the mutants and say, we could use your help on this. Doctor Strange going to them and being like, we didn't know you were all hiding amongst us for this long. Come out into the light and be a part of fighting the greater good. And the mutants being like, no, thanks. Pass. We are happy to live the life we have. We don't want to be the world's saviors.
Yeah. And having mutants not be the first MCU group, I think is really good because at least in the looking at the entire scope of the MCU, someone in a costume or someone with a strange ability like holding up a bank in some town can sort of be lost in the wash of aliens and super
a celestial coming out of the ocean.
Yeah. So like to mutants, they recognize that's a mutant and that's a bad one and we need to stop him, or we're like, oh, they're giving us a bad name. Like it's a much bigger deal to their community, but to sort of the unfocused standard MCU citizen, it's just
another weirdo.
It's just another weirdo. Now, granted, that's sort of where the fear comes in, is that once the public starts learning about mutants, like, wait a minute, so not only is this a weirdo, but you're saying anyone could be a weirdo? You don't have to be an insane genius or an alien.
Yeah.
Like it's
the fear's there. And that's a real rational fear that could exist within Charles and the other mutants.
But that would all come later. That wouldn't be this movie.
Yeah, that's all conversation for world building. I think the mutants would be better suited, at least at this point in the MCU, to be treated much like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage or Daredevil. Those street level heroes. Not that the X-Men are street level.
Because that's the other thing. Like, I think that actually, so the X-Men comics and the movies and the cartoons suggest that mutants are everywhere.
They're blowing up New York.
They're not as common as they are in right. They're the main characters of the book. So that's why it's 100% mutants 100% of the time. Whereas I think when you sort of dilute that story into the world, like there's one mutant in every 1,000 people, and I realize that's still a lot, but it's
at one point
fewer.
One point in the comics, Scarlet Witch erased all but 198 mutants on the entire planet.
I thought it was 300, but
it was like
either way, that's not many.
Yeah, of the billions of people on the planet, to say that like, oh, only 198 mutants exist. That might be too small of a community, but treating them like Jessica and Luke and Daredevil, where Jessica Jones is a super powered woman in New York running around and catching no one's attention because she's not in a costume and she's not doing these huge public displays of her powers. And Luke Cage being this like hero of Harlem and just wanting to stay in Harlem. I think there's something neat to be said about the mutants existing underground. And it works into the themes of a thief, a heist movie, someone who already exists in a subculture, staying within the shadows. So yeah, I to bring it back to Gambit and having him be a part of this heist movie. Yeah, like this is cool. This is a neat.
So the main two I was thinking were Mystique and Rogue, but I think you would need at least two more characters. We could find some bad guy mutants that
it doesn't
that
have to be
abilities
Toad. It doesn't have to be Toad and Fire,
Sabretooth or Pyro.
But it could be Avalanche, because he was always in the X-Men cartoons.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, but he was never in the movies. I don't think the movies did across the board. I don't feel like they did a good enough job with enough characters. They always Wolverine, Cyclops.
It was a cast of like 10 good guys versus 3 bad guys.
Yeah, and then all the like throwaway villains. Like I'm thinking of X-Men 3 in particular, where they just like littered it with a bunch of crap. But even in like the Days of Future Past and especially Dark Phoenix, like you have a world of characters to play with. And yes, you want to develop your central characters, but I'll credit to the first 2 X-Men movies. Maybe not any sort of respect to the man who made them, and not anymore. Sex criminal. But those first 2 movies did a great job of, much like I'm saying, like them being like an underground society while filling the world
sort
around
of
them.
They sort of did, but like I feel like because they were the only like, what if mutants existed in our world was the premise that X-Men that those movies came from.
Yeah.
Now what we're doing is what if mutants existed in the MCU?
Yeah.
That it's a different context. So what if these people existed in a world where half of everyone disappeared and a few years later came back. And also there are aliens and super soldiers
and magic
and strange hidden nations of mysticism and also other ones of super science.
Yeah.
So like
it's a big weird world.
Yeah, and I feel like mutants can hide easier in a world like that, whereas the world of the Fox X-Men movies, it was like they were very forefront.
Yeah. Well, here's a question about the current continuity, and I actually don't know the answer to this. Where do Inhumans fit into the MCU at large? Are they canon? Maybe
no,
you don't even
they're
know.
not. So way back when all of those TV shows were on, the internet rumor drama was that Kevin Feige hated the TV stuff and would never validate any of it. Up until recently, the Netflix stuff has had two references.
Yes, there are 3 verified show characters. Jarvis from Agent Carter was in Endgame, and then Charlie Cox as Daredevil and Wilson Fisk as Kingpin. Those 3 exist in the MCU.
Okay.
Because we've seen them.
Wait, didn't we see Peggy as well?
Oh, Peggy existed in the movies first.
Oh, she did. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That's true. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually did a lot of stuff with Inhumans.
Before the Inhumans show came out.
If I remember right, there was actually a convention where they verified that it was not the MCU, that it was a splinter world.
Which is a shame because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is
really well done show.
Really, really well done show. And they tied it in so significantly for those first 4 or 5 seasons where it would like literally whatever big movie came out.
Up through Ragnarok.
Yeah. Yeah. Once they went to space in the future.
I mean, they didn't literally say, oh, this ties to Thor Ragnarok, but they by that season they had story arcs that resembled that. So maybe it didn't actually tie into Thor Ragnarok.
It was a slow departure.
Yeah, yeah. But they verified that was another reality. So which with our multiverse, people understand multiverses now.
Yeah. So do you think there's anything worth scavenging from the Fox MCU or the Fox movies to bring into the MCU? Because I think
Sam Raimi does.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, based on the preview, we're doing a good job not spoiling. My question comes into play is Deadpool. Like Deadpool is technically a mutant movie. He's already played with the X-Men. He's very fourth wall breaking and a lot of meta humor.
And I saw a internet rumor thing about the multiverse of madness regarding Deadpool. That actually was going to be another suggestion for the crew. Whether because of the nature of Deadpool and his I think the only thing is he wouldn't be the center character. He would be a supporting character, but I think that could be a lot of fun having this motor mouth mercenary go along with him, and he's just constantly narrating what's happening, talking about.
And here, Remy is actually going into the vault now. Very exciting.
And talking about how this Charles Xavier isn't as good as the one he knows, or
I've previously met Charles, and you are no Charles,
and just never actually verifying if he is or is not from another reality or things like that.
As Harley Quinn has been basically the DCEU equivalent of Deadpool, where do your movies all connect or not? That's what Deadpool is kind of doing, is like
and that I would play that up where so Deadpool they all connect in his mind. We don't know if they connect.
You're asking
in reality.
You're asking for a big. That's a big ask to have Ryan Reynolds play Deadpool as a supporting character to Remy. If you were suggesting that Deadpool be brought in with Remy, then you're asking for a team. You're asking for a midnight run team up lethal weapon style.
I didn't want to do that. I didn't want it to be the Gambit and Deadpool show.
Yeah, and I just don't think Deadpool, as he's been presented, as Ryan Reynolds has built him, is. I don't think he's made to be sidekick. He has to be the main character in whatever he's in. So I don't think he has a place within a Gambit movie, because it needs to be the Gambit movie, not the Deadpool movie featuring Gambit. You want to do something like that, you bring Michael Keaton back out of retirement and then call it a Flash movie. Yeah.
Well, that's really too bad, because I think he would have filled out that crew. Oh, and then another character that occurred to me that could be on that crew. I don't know who you would cast, but Strong Guy.
Yeah. Oh God.
Because Strong Guy even started as a bad guy.
Yeah. Does he have the little tuft of white hair?
Of course he has the little
tiny
tuft
little
of white
John
hair.
Lennon glasses,
Yeah.
sunglasses.
Oh, what wrestler would be big enough for him?
Oh man.
Do we bring Batista back?
Batista plays Strong Guy.
Yeah.
No, because
just not in the gray.
I love Batista, but he's Drax.
makeup.
I just don't think he has the range to play anything else. John Cena. Bring John Cena in. He's doing great as Peacemaker.
Yeah. Put a tiny little wig on Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, The Rock as
He would have to be the main character.
Yeah. There's certain celebrity that wouldn't want to play second fiddle. Like they would have to be in the forefront.
Strong Guy's sort of a weird character to put in. It could be done.
Big brute muscular guy. He could constantly be bragging about like, I'd fight the Hulk.
Yeah.
I could beat the Hulk. Get out of here. No, you can't. Have you seen that guy? He's twice your size. What are you talking about? I'm big. Look how big I am. Yeah, you're like normal human big. The Hulk is Hulk big. Yeah, I could beat him. So Mystique, Strong Guy, Rogue, Gambit,
and not Deadpool. No.
And not Deadpool. Yeah.
Dang it.
I know. I don't get me wrong. Comic book wise, yeah, you could get Deadpool in there and it would be fun. But like when you're talking a big movie like this, no, like maybe you could sneak a cameo in there. But if you're going to sneak a cameo, it's going to be Falcon. It's going to be Ant-Man. It's going to be someone else. Like
fine.
Deadpool. He's going to find his way in a different way.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
All right.
So as the studio, speaking for the studio doesn't want to waste Deadpool on a Gambit movie.
It wouldn't be wasting No, it's like introducing Black Panther in a Captain America movie.
So then you're saying we make a Deadpool movie and insert Gambit into it. That's what you're suggesting.
No. What?
Yeah.
Are you saying that Captain America Civil War was a Black Panther movie?
No, but that's how they introduced Black Panther. They snuck Black Panther in.
Yeah.
They tricked people into coming to see a Captain America movie. And that's surprise, Black Panther.
No, but it wasn't Okay, we're just going to disagree on this.
I'll give you a moment here. Let's take a quick break and I'll let you think of one other person to throw on this 5-man crew, and then we're going to talk about Steel and Cerebro and what else to do with Gambit.
It almost doesn't matter who it is. It could be Toad.
It's Toad. No. Let's not repeat. I'm willing to give you Mystique just for the recognition of her. Like I understand that she somehow, thanks to Jennifer Lawrence, became like one of the most important mutants when she's never.
It was
Rebecca Romaine. Rebecca Romaine played Mystique in 3 movies as a sidekick.
Yeah. And that's what I'm
Lawrence,
returning her to.
And then Jennifer Lawrence turned her into the main character of the X-Men movies.
Well, I mean, Jennifer Lawrence didn't do that.
Well, casting Jennifer Lawrence off the heat of the Hunger Games, and then Fox going like, she's hot, make her the main character.
Yeah.
That's not what you do with Mystique. So anyway, I'm agreeing to have Mystique on the team because people know and recognize her.
Well, no, but ever since the Deadpool thing, now we're fighting. This whole thing, no matter how much we agree, we're fighting.
Fine. We're taking a break here. You and me are on a break. That's how I feel about this.
All right, fine then. Me too.
Yeah. Go over there. I'm going to go over here.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Mike.
And we are brothers-in-law. We both love beer and are amateur home brewers.
Wait, so does that make us brothers-in-law?
I believe so.
Every episode, we will talk about aspects of beer and home brewing.
But nothing super technical because we're learning this too.
So join us as we sit down together and dive into something beer-related.
Whether it's a little field research, tasting a certain beer style, or beers from a specific brewery.
Talk about our experiences brewing beer at home, including our own solo brews, as well as themed competitions we'll set up along the way.
We will also talk about some of our favorite aspects of brewing, like hops, extra ingredients, building our brew cave, and more. And of course, our own misadventures that have happened along the way.
So, if you like beer, are home brewing already,
or if you have an interest in home brewing and don't know where to start,
join us on Brothers-in-Law Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
And make sure to follow us on Twitter at Brothers-in-Law and check out our website, brothersinlaw.com.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to our new podcast. Welcome to our new podcast.
This isn't working.
Agreed. I think we're going to have to do it turn by turn.
Well, now that you mention it, we are a brand new RPG video game podcast.
Our very existence hinges on turn-based gaming.
So join us on the Turn by Turn podcast, where we'll be talking about
Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Golden Sun, Shining Force, Mother, and so many more.
It's your turn to come and join us.
Cold open. Remy's doing something heisty.
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like we kick off very James Bond-esque in that we just open with an action sequence.
He's hustling a pool hall.
Oh yeah, okay. He's just like
Actually, didn't they do that in one of the X-Men movies?
well in X-Men Origins Wolverine, we meet Gambit cheating at cards.
That was a card game.
Yeah.
I do pool game.
Pool game. So he's just hustling people
We're
at
in
pool.
a pool hall, yeah, and he goes and he wins, and whoever he's hustling is very mad about it, and a fight breaks out, and it's the pool hall against him, and that's where we get to see like he taps into his mutant ability,
like a nice like southern rock song, because Remy is Creole, like he's from New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting Channing Tatum has to do the accent, but
he must.
He must. Whoever's playing Gambit has to do it. So yeah, just a pool hall hustle that turns into a brawl, and I do think, because if we're sticking with Channing, because that's part of the demand, being a part of this, like taking advantage of his humor and his ability to like spit comedy. Yeah, having this be a funny brawl, chair smashing, and like, hey, how's it going? Taking a shot, smash, I'll be right back, like that sort of thing.
Oh, sure, yeah. Actually, that'd be pretty good. Although I suppose we should probably get to his cards at some point, even in that cold open.
In that opening shot,
like a pool hall does seem good. Would it be better as a like a poker?
No, I
poker
say
game?
if it's like if it's just a shady bar underground kind of thing where he's hustling pool, there's cards, and like an underground illegal casino, there's cards there. And it's Gambit. We know he's going to get cards eventually. So we just tease at him getting the deck of cards and not see it. Because really what his ability is he can kinetically power up things and turn them into explosives.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking like there would be he uses a bow staff.
Which is what the pool cue would be good for. Yeah.
All those things would be kind of fun to utilize that way.
Much like Captain America doesn't get the shield until that's true. Until after, like, he eventually, Captain America gets the shield, right? Like, yes, we get Mjolnir right at the beginning of Thor, but then it's taken away from him and he has to earn it back. We tease the cards through the whole movie, at least to the halfway point, to like whatever our like midpoint big action sequences or closer to like the latter half of the movie. That's when the cards come out. He just starts going to town with them.
Would it be too silly? Or like have a scene where the crew has come together and there's, like a big table of gear, right? Like, oh, okay, which gun do you want? Here's the grappling hooks, rope, and everyone's taking all this different gear, and Gambit walks over and he just picks up just the deck of cards.
That's not a terrible idea, but I like that. Like that he takes the cards, but maybe he takes them as a smart ass move. Because let's say whoever like brings them together and like, I brought you together, this crew, to do this job. We're not friends here. We're all going by code names and assigning names, very Reservoir Dogs-esque, right? And maybe a little bit of assigning people. Like if the person doing it is dealing cards to people, you're the two of spades, you're the queen of hearts, you're this, right? Like that's how they get their assigned names, as opposed to be calling Gambit, Mystique, Rogue, right? If it's like Mr. Pink, Mr. Brown, Mr. Orange, it's like you're the two of spades, and then Gambit could be like, Remy's like, who am I? Why do I got to be the two of spades? I'm fine.
I'm the whole deck.
You're the Joker. Whatever.
Sure, yeah.
So that deck of cards is being used to assign, and Remy's a smart ass, and people tell him to shut up, and there's a lot of bickering, and then when it comes down to like picking gear or whatnot, and be like, hey, smart ass, don't forget your cards or something, like toss Remy the cards.
Sure.
I don't know. That's a muddled brainstorm moment there, but like,
although now I'm seeing like in that intro, one of the ways he gets one of the bad guys, he doesn't even charge the cards, but like has a whole deck and he does the thing where with one hand he's able to flutter them at them. Yeah. Like, I got cards in my eyes. Basically try to establish very early that not only does he have this power, but he's also very like, he's not quite a bullseye accurate with things, but like he can do things like
he's got sleight of hand.
Yeah. And he can do things like throw cards incredibly accurately and stuff like that.
I would love for him to not be he's not a martial artist. Like he's just a brawler, right? But then you get a staff in his hand and that's his weapon. Like that's the weapon he's good with. Right? Because like in the MCU, it's like everybody has martial arts.
Everyone can punch.
Yeah, everyone's got karate skills, but he's not inherently a good fighter. He's good with certain technique and weapons. So like his sleight of hand is good. He's a pickpocket. He's a thief. You get a staff in his hand and he utilizes that really well.
Okay.
In that brawl, like having him grab like the 8-ball and powering it up underneath the table and then throwing it to as his like escape maneuver and getting out, being like getting away. He got away with the money that he like ripped off from the room at large. It's like, ha ha ha. Van pulls up, bag over his head, pulled in.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've introduced Remy. We've introduced some abilities with the bow staff, and he's a smart ass Joker. He does the one power up move. Then he's dumped in a room and was like, "You've been picked for your particular set of skills."
Actually, the way I'd end that intro is he gets out of the fight. He gets away, and he meets up with someone else who is like, who we also saw in that situation. The whole thing was basically an
audition,
a job. No, not an audition. It was literally it was a 2-man operation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so the money he gets away with, he splits with that person right there. Probably like the person who instigated the fight.
Yeah, yeah,
something like that.
Shh, you want to go, man? And then
the guy who he fluttered the cards in the face of.
Man, I think you cut my retina.
Yeah,
I swear. Why does every goon have to have like a New York accent?
It's because that's the something like that. So then. Right. Then we cut to black, fade to black, whatever. So sometime a little later, he's at his place, wherever his place is. And someone approaches and says, "Hey, I hear you're a man with skills. I got a job."
Well, back up. I like that. He meets back up with someone. They split the money and he goes back home to his castle. And that's where is an opportunity to show like, wow, this guy's really alone. His life isn't as cool as he thinks as he presents himself. He's actually very sad and lonely.
Yeah.
So because he even asking his buddy like after the heist is over, like, that was great. You and I should team up more often, huh? You want to go grab a bite to eat? No, Remy, I don't trust you to steal my wallet after I've paid. All right, well, yeah, like he has no friends, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then having seen what his life looks like outside of his hustling, and then having him be approached and said, "Excuse me, may I speak with you?" And he's like, "Nope," run away from a man in black. Like it looks like a
possibly,
cop, like a cop's like he thinks like, "You a cop? You have to tell me if you're a cop." That's not a real thing. Then he runs, chase to capture him and be like,
"You're a cop. You got to tell me if you're a cop. That's not a real thing. Only a cop would know that."
To chase him down and be like, "You're as good as they say. Now get in the van." You're not getting me in that van.
You really want to throw him in a van?
Yeah, whatever. just to have another little fun action sequence there to get him into the room to be like, you were all selected because of your skills. It's like, yes, you, Remy. How much are we going to get paid? Can I just tell you what the gig is first? Sure, we are getting paid, right? Yeah, let me just explain now. And then that's when we get to meet our crew and introduce where they're going. You're going to break into this school or this mansion. They don't even call it a school. It's a mansion.
Estate.
An estate. You have to break into this estate. And now, okay, so we have Remy with his explosive sleight of hand stuff. We have Rogue, who is a power, like a leech. Mystique is a morph. Like she like strong guys,
infiltrator, strong guys, the muscle.
I
was thinking either some sort of speedster or teleporter, which Deadpool would have been perfect.
I know, I'm sorry. Deadpool doesn't have teleportation in the movies yet.
Yes, he does. Spoiler for Deadpool 2.
I suppose. He's got the time travel device, right?
That I'm pretty sure that is what the teleportation was supposed to.
No Deadpool.
That's unimportant to this conversation.
The problem with a speedster or a teleporter is they could just do the job themselves. So I think someone more like computer hackery, some sort of tech guy would be more suited here. So like Mastermind.
Okay. Well, the teleporter speedster to me was more meant to be to get them in. Make Forge a bad guy?
Yeah. Because Forge in the Ultimate Universe started as a bad guy. He was building tech for Magneto.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. Forge, and it's a great person of color character. And Forge.
Actually, my only problem with that is, well, or we lean into it. Basically, through stealing the helmet back, Gambit basically convinces the entire crew that stole it with him to come with him and join up with Xavier.
To get Forge to be a good guy.
And except for Mystique, who's totally the right hand.
Eric Lenser all the way, man.
So then the 4, 1, 2, 3, 5 of them, 4 of them, number of them just all show up on the doors. Here's your helmet back.
Well, strong guy.
And that wouldn't be how it ends. It would, obviously, there'd be a new confrontation at
I think
Xavier Manor.
Showing that there's potential for strong guy and Forge to they are opportunists. They are mercenaries. They are not inherently bad. They have the potential of being good people. Mm-hmm. Like so that there's an opportunity in the future to if Gambit's a success.
I really like Forge, but I just Madrox.
Multiple man.
Could be one.
I'm thinking in power sets here, having a shapeshifter. We don't need a multiple man. Multiple man.
Well, you are underestimating what multiple man does.
I love multiple man as a character. I think he's worth saving.
Okay.
Like to keep this in an Ant-Man level of production, right? Like don't like it's going to be bigger than Ant-Man because of basically the world we're playing in, but keeping it street level and see what I'm saying? Like
sort of
having, I'm trying to think what power sets work best for a heist movie. And while Multiple Man and Quicksilver or Deadpool teleporting all work, they sort of make other characters unnecessary.
I mean, I don't necessarily agree, but I understand what you're saying.
Okay. Okay. So he's recruited into this room. They're told they're going to have to go to this mansion and they're going to get this one single item. They all more or less dislike each other, but he takes a shine immediately to this pretty young rogue and or she takes a shine to him.
I like the idea of her taking a shine to him.
Okay.
And that's actually what is, that's why she's willing to go with him. It's not that he's like, please come with me. It's like, no, take me with you. I'm tired of the blue lady.
Yeah.
This
isn't
life
she your mom?
This life isn't what I thought it was.
Isn't the blue lady your mom?
No.
What?
No.
The way she was like lording over you, I thought, are you like a slave or something?
No. I mean, I guess she's sort of my mutant mom. What is this bit happening?
We're writing dialogue, man. We're just popcorn all over the place here. We're shuffling cars and dealing them out.
And yeah.
So then we get to heist mode here, and they break into the mansion, only to discover there are 100 children here with superpowers.
Yeah.
Do they cross paths with any of the teachers? Because
absolutely,
this is now
the whole. A part of this is to help sort of establish. Yeah, this is a secret X-Men movie. Mm-hmm. This movie is going to backdoor introduce the X-Men, Magneto, and the whole sort of world and drama of mutants.
Okay.
Through the eyes of Remy LeBeau.
Gotcha. I approve.
Now that does mean that if we're going to have to start casting like all these people, I don't know if the MCU would actually want to do that. They might do what they did to Deadpool, which is you get 2.
You hint at it.
But I actually would want to start sort of, I would want to establish the X-Men so that way when an X-Men movie happens, rather than making it a cavalcade of stars, you've established them as these sort of secondary characters here. Now although I guess Eternals kind of undermines that. We now see we've seen what happens with a cast of characters and actors we don't fully recognize.
Not necessarily.
Like 3 or 4 of them were. No, that's
I don't think Eternals is a good example here. I think
you're right. I'm just sort of babbling nonsense over a point you are trying to make. I'm going to shut up.
Gambit goes to the school and runs into students. We have an opportunity to hint at people like Dazzler or Jubilee or some of the younger Gen X characters, Husk, what have you. But running into a couple teachers, there's an opportunity there to show the original X-Men. So Iceman, Beast, Angel, Cyclops, and Jean. That's the original X-Men. And then Xavier, Charles Xavier.
Sure.
Right? So who makes the most sense to throw Gambit against out of that original crew? Because I think that should be who the original X-Men are. We don't see Wolverine. We don't see Storm. We don't get Colossus.
We don't see the Claremont mutants.
No Nightcrawler. It's the original 5.
It'd actually be neat to first meet Storm leading the Morlocks.
Yeah, that'd be great. And we could hint at Morlocks in some way, shape, or form, even because Gambit does live on the underground, and the Morlocks are even more underground than mutants.
Gambit could be brought in early, so Act 1 goes a little longer, and he is now along for the ride in recruiting two or three of the others. Mystique's like, okay, come with us. We need to pick up our
strong guy and Forge,
and one of them could be with the Morlocks.
Okay, I'm possibly there's a little too much like recruiting in X-Men Apocalypse that I would hate to repeat. I'd like to think we could handle it better. So I say sure, like that as a possibility of not having them all in the room at once.
Recruiting in X-Men Apocalypse was different.
I just don't want to risk going into that territory and sucking. But whatever the case may be, there is an opportunity to hint at the Morlock, sure. But once they get to the school for the heist itself, Mission Impossible style, who are they going up against?
I guess it. Okay, I'll just try to address that question. The X-Men.
Cyclops is the original X-Men. Like, he was the first student of Charles Xavier. Mm-hmm. Do we put Cyclops there to get in Remy's way? And it'd be like, just Scott, like these 5 thieves are in front of him, and he's like, "Who do you think you are?" And Remy being like, "I'll handle this, guys." It's like concussive blast versus explosive devices. And
I see. Yeah, that's not bad.
So then the others could be like, so then it's not like a 5-on-5 team up. It's literally like they went through they got past some kids.
The whole intro, the whole point to the intro of our movie was to show that Remy can hold his own against a number of assailants.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to go up against just one. He could be trying to hold off
Cyclops and some of the senior.
All 5 of them.
I wouldn't want to do all 5 though.
Of course you wouldn't want to do all 5 of them. It's just a lot to put in a
movie.
It's not.
You want to see.
I want to see everything all the time.
You want to see Gambit go up against Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman, Beast, and Angel all at once? He'd be dead.
Would he?
Yes.
Iceman throws snowballs.
So
I think that's another thing. I don't think they should be teachers. I think you frame the original 5 as seniors.
Okay.
So
now I'm interested. Okay. Now I'm interested. You're right. If they stumble into a school that has a bunch of
and it's not 100 kids, right? Because Xavier's still like the main teacher because no one else has graduated up enough yet. Yeah.
30
is a good amount for one person to one person with the assistance of the older teenagers to sort of keep in line.
So Cyclops as a senior, maybe Jean, Bobby, Warren, and
Hank
are juniors. Like so we're now Gambit has to fight like teenagers. Yeah. I don't want to fight a bunch of teenagers.
Go back to bed. You know it's good for you.
Get him, guys.
Yeah, something like that.
Danger move. Go gold team.
Yeah.
Cyclops is shouting out orders like, what is this, a football team? What's going on here?
And it could be like, he's like, look, I don't want to have to fight the whole lacrosse team here, but I will if I have to.
Yeah.
And right. So then they start coming at him, and like Beast is the only one who he thinks actually looks somewhat intimidating. Mm-hmm. So he's having like, wow, you are very strong. And like, what's with you sunglasses? It's the middle of the night. And then he gets blasted. It's like, what's going? And so it sort of ramps up, and Remy basically starts having to reel back. And all he's really doing is, so I know Strong Guy's supposed to be the muscle.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the muscle as in I'm here to
Crack
pound
skulls.
faces.
Yeah.
I'm here to lift heavy things and break open.
I actually don't know
heavy
how to
doors.
fight.
Yeah, that's hilarious. like,
Hey, Strong Guy, help me out.
Your cut is you are losing. You're
going.
losing 5%.
I
of
get
your
half
cut.
of his cut.
Yeah, something like that.
What do you mean you
so,
don't know how to fight?
So Remy strangely is brought in as the tough guy, as the crowd control of this situation.
That's great. Based on our opening, that makes that actually works. That tracks. That he would be brought in. Wait, I was brought in to be the fighter of this group? Oh my God.
What about that guy? He's huge.
He's huge. I actually don't know how to fight. My only concern here is if we. Okay, I suppose this is
and I guess he doesn't have to fight them alone. I would imagine this fight. Like now that we say that, like the other members of the crew might also be like trying to, like, basically they're trying to get away at this point is I imagine what it'd be. It wouldn't be busting in and now we're like, sit down while we rob you.
Yeah.
We're going to sneak through the mansion. Okay, we got it. Let's go. Alarm goes off. We just got to get out.
And then they're running down the hall to like get back to the surface, and an elevator opens, and a dude in sunglasses standing there.
Yeah.
We cast
some kid,
some 18-year-old actor. Like that's not my concern. I guess it's actually a good thing to think that all these X-Men are going to be cast as teenagers or early 20s, playing younger. Because then you have decades to use these actors, right? But casting them right, which we're not going to do. But having that, I'm going to throw a name right out.
That's
like the door opens and freaking Zac Efron standing there with sunglasses on.
Sure.
It's like, where do you think you're going? And the audience is like,
actually,
Cyclops, yeah.
And that's old enough, and he's old enough to be like a college age / junior professor.
Yeah.
And I'd be okay with that kind of thing. I'm not seeing them as the seasoned adults that they were in the previous X-Men movies.
We'll get there in 10 years when we do Avengers versus the X-Men.
Gross.
Never. But yeah, running down that hallway near like the end of the heist to have to confront Cyclops, and then Beast shows up and like, Strong Guy, get him. And they fight their way out of the mansion. They have Cerebro. They get back to their the guy who hired them. And somewhere in this, if after the heist, after they've gotten away, after this big action set piece of Gambit and his team versus the X-Men.
Well, so where's his change of heart?
Well, that's because they're walking through the school and they're seeing all these kids with abilities, and he's understanding there's mutants. Having sitting on the roof drinking beers with Rogue, talking about, I didn't ever feel like I fit in anywhere. Yeah, me too.
You ever see a place like that?
You ever see a place like that?
Yeah.
No, I've never seen anything like that. Like that sort of conversation leaves him doubting and questioning like his reality. And then you introduce Magneto, handing over Cerebro to, like, if Gambit even has a rule about like, I always want to know who I'm working for. I need to know. That's my one rule, is I need to know who I'm actually getting paid by, or something like that.
Okay.
Like, do you want to introduce Magneto as the big bad?
Yeah. I don't think he'd necessarily keep himself hidden. It would be like Mystique would take him, like, okay, we did a good job. We're going to pay you now. We're going to hand this over. Yeah.
And then Magneto
he's
steps
there.
out of the shadows and is just like, very good. You've all served me well. And there's some sort of tipping point that leaves Remy to go, wait a minute. Like, and now that we know what the school's defenses are, we can go and take care of those children and recruit us. And like, I don't know. Like, we go, those darn kids.
We're going to get the children.
Yeah. But basically a moment of Gambit and like assessing the situation.
Like, are we the baddies?
Yes. Like a moment like that where he realizes this Magneto guy is like, hey, us mutants, we've done a good job avoiding Doctor Strange and whatever Caecilius was. And we've done a good job avoiding Thanos and like, the big bad guys.
What do you think? What would you think about they finish the job. They hand it. They hand the helmet over to Magneto and Mystique. They go off to have a meeting or whatever, and the rest of the crew goes to celebrate. And over beers, they're talking, sort of like you said, and so through that conversation, it's sort of revealed like, hey, have any of you seen anything like that? And then like, well, I know I've met a few others of our kind before. We're not that common. So it just sort of having a conversation, and like strong guys like, I don't care who I rob. No one's innocent, and they all deserve it. I don't know where I'm going with this. Now strong guys is a real jerk.
That's okay.
Somehow through that conversation, Remy kind of getting the notion like maybe this is the wrong way to be.
Yeah. Maybe this feels wrong, and my instincts are really good. Are they?
Something like that. What do you think of?
Yeah, some sort of change of heart, of realizing there's a bigger world here, and there may be a place for not just Gambit but Rogue and these people who always have felt like outsiders. Like, we don't have to be going crew to crew, job to job, existing as loners when there's places like that out there. I almost feel bad that we stole from them. What's the big master plan here with this Eric guy?
It's just Remy and Forge and Strong Guy having drinks.
Yeah.
Because when Mystique goes, she like snaps her finger, Rogue.
Yeah.
And like, so Rogue is obviously being treated like not even as a pet, as like a
servant.
Servant, yeah. And so then Remy has his change of heart, and he decides, nah, this isn't right. So that's when, and I don't know how much time needs to pass there, but then when he goes to steal it back from Magneto, right? So we have a set piece where he has to now sneak in and steal a metal device from Magneto and Mystique. And on his way out, Rogue is like, take me with you. Get me out of this.
Okay, yeah.
What do you think of that?
Yeah. If Rogue goes
so we learn that she does not like this is not a great existence for her.
No, and with Rogue going with Mystique and being there listening to Magneto talk about what he wants, she's aware of the much bigger plan at large here.
Sure.
Gambit's just like, Remy's just like, this feels wrong. I'm bringing that helmet back. When she's like, take me with you, he has his change of heart and what he wants. She has the bigger information of like, you're stealing this to stop Eric, huh? Stop Magneto. What? No, I just didn't think it was a good thing to do. No, you don't understand. This guy's bad. This guy's really, really bad. Oh, well, good thing I'm a good guy. Let's go. Right?
Oh, I like that could be a whole conversation once they're get
running
out. Cause now I'm like
car chase.
So now going back to the scene where they give Magneto the helmet.
Car chase. And Magneto's just like whipping cars,
like flying after them. No, that's probably bad. I was thinking, I don't know how much we would have seen Rogue leeching powers, but like that could actually it could be a key scene. Like Mystique's like, okay, we're going to hand over the helmet now. Rogue, do the thing. And she goes and steals at least, Remy's power. Like maybe he's the only one who cared, because like what you said, no, I want to meet the guy. Forge and Strong Guy were fine to get paid blindly and just walk away, but he wants to meet the man. It's like, okay, so Rogue takes his power and he's like, what is this? And he's assured. Mystique's like, don't worry, it's only temporary. Hands it over. So he meets, all of this happens. We get to see Remy's eyes go back to normal. So we get to see Channing Tatum's, are they blue eyes? I don't know.
They're handsome, whatever they are.
Yeah, whatever his handsome eyes
dreamy.
Are. Because they need to be the weird red eyes, red and black eyes. Yeah. So that's how he meets Magneto, is depowered by her. So then when he goes back, he knows he has to deal with, he might not know Magneto is Magneto at that point, so he doesn't know what his powers are, but he knows Mystique can shape change, and now he knows Rogue can steal his power. So so he's when he does that job and she shows up, he thinks she's going to take his power, and she's reaching out, but it's not to grab him, it's pleading, take me with you. And he's like, so it throws him for a second. It's a long way to explain this small detail, but I think it's a very cool detail.
Yeah. I like that. And taking her away to then have them meet up again and having her give the information of like, Magneto's the supervillain here. He's the big bad guy that we have to stop. Tearing ass back to Westchester, Gambit can team up with the X-Men to stop Magneto.
Sure.
Like if the finale is Gambit versus Magneto and Mystique, and it's Gambit and Rogue versus Mystique and Magneto, that's a weird power sets to go up against each other. But
as long as we're not doing the power set same.
Yes, they're not equal to each other.
Yeah.
But I do. How about this? Just to make this finale change it just a little bit, right? We got Gambit whipping like explosive devices at Magneto, and Magneto's got all his magnet powers. To have Rogues like zap his powers away for even though it's temporary, and Remy being like, "All right, old man," and then Magneto being like, "Do you think I don't know how to fight?" And then start kicking Gambit's ass. Like he doesn't need his powers. We've only ever seen Magneto
do powers.
Like, the best Magneto moment in all the X-Men movies.
Of all the people to have Stephen Lang.
Oh yeah. Stephen Lang, buff as he is, kicking the shit out of Channing Tatum. The coolest X-Men, a Magneto moment for me is in X-Men First Class when he's at that bar in Argentina and he grabs the knife, stabs the Nazi in the hand, and then finishes the beer. Like when he's that section of X-Men First Class where Michael Fassbender is Eric Lenscher Nazi hunter.
It's so good. I'd watch a whole movie of just that. Yeah.
So having Eric, depowered, like Rogue siphons all his magnetic powers away instead of the typical Magneto of like, oh no, what am I without my magnet powers? If he's just like, just starts mopping the floor with Remy. Sure. And he's like, Jesus, old man.
That's that could work. I was actually thinking that would be a great time to showcase him throwing cards because the cards are not magnetic.
Yeah. And I agree. Like getting up to Magneto fighting him and kicking the shit out of him and him. It basically takes it back to the barroom brawl. We know Remy can hold his own in a fight just at his own terms.
Sure.
On his own terms.
But
as Magneto's powers start coming back. Like they don't just snap back on.
But why? Okay. Just to play the power game.
Yeah.
Once he's depowered, even if he can throw a punch, why wouldn't Gambit use his kinetic
to start
his charged kinetics, kinetic charges?
Yeah.
To blow up the depowered old man.
You are correct. I don't quite have my if he's just always on the back foot and he just can't like when Darth Vader's like knocking shit at Luke in Empire Strikes Back and he's like and he can't get to.
The only other thing I could think is that somehow Rogue accidentally depowers him. Like she gets thrown into him or something.
Yeah. Something to depower Remy as well, and as her powers start coming back,
because because they're not explaining their mutant abilities to each other. Maybe he does like the braggadocious hero where he grabs her and and kisses her, and she's like, no. Shit. So he loses his power. I don't know, and that's when Magneto shows up, and she takes his power to sort of try to help him. I don't.
Whatever the case may be, yes, in the finale, we finally see.
In which case, we've now turned it into same versus same. We've put them on the same
power level, even if only for a few minutes. But yes, in this final moment, that's when the deck of cards come out and Remy starts just as Magneto's like, if he's depowered for a moment and as his powers start coming back, I'm just going to feel gross for a second as I say this.
Yeah.
Remember in BVS when Superman didn't have powers for a minute and Batman was punched him in the face and at first it hurt a little bit and then slowly Superman's powers came back and then.
So you want to make Magneto Superman?
Not necessarily that, but that moment of no powers and you slowly see the powers coming back kind of thing where like he's kicking the shit out of Remy. Remy's powers come back first. So then he's got Magneto on the back foot, and then Magneto's powers start coming back. And then it's the two of them metal Metal Magnet Man versus Explosive Man.
Mono e Metallo.
Yeah. Ooh. Dog, clap. Do the X-Men come in to help save the day, or do we have Remy?
I think yes, it would be team versus team. So in the background, we see the 5 teenagers versus Strong Guy, Forge, Mystique. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I maybe not right away. Maybe if the fight takes them closer and closer to the mansion. Like if the finale is like this, if it kicks off with stealing Cerebro and starting to go back, we have car chase moment, Magneto chasing after them, car crash, then Remy and Rogue versus Mystique and Eric still on the move.
Running across the field to the manor.
Just, taking us closer and closer to the mansion so that within spitting distance for the last moments, that's when the X-Men show up to basically save the day. And after all is said and done, the dust is settled. Eric has been destroyed. We never see Charles. Like, I think we don't ever see.
I don't know if that might be a mistake.
To not show him?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I'm willing to have whatever. I concede. Having Charles roll up in the end and be like,
I understand
Eric.
Putting all those characters in there feels like we're putting too much in. I feel like the whole point of this is to introduce all of these characters through Gambit's eyes. Yes, it's Gambit's movie, but we're meeting all of these characters because an X-Men movie is coming.
Yes.
So
have Charles.
Right, like just having everyone in silhouette just feels weird.
I don't like the taste of it in my mouth, and you are right. So I'm merely having a moment of what I was like, we finally see Charles. We don't need that. We can see him when we walk into the school, right?
Like, honestly, if you want a Deus Ex Savior, the situation, oh man, that's what, 2 for 2 tonight.
Clap.
He could actually be the one who finally ends the final fight with his super psychic power.
Yeah.
That might give him too much power way too fast. But just, I don't know.
Whatever the case may be, Eric is defeated. Gambit has saved Cerebro. The X-Men have restrained the villains, the hero that's smoldering ruins around them. Charles coming up and be like, Eric. and I believe this is yours, and giving Cerebro back to Charles. Just like that's what Remy's whole thing was. He had to change a heart.
Remy gives it. I was like,
no,
why would Magneto
screw Magneto?
Over?
Magneto's the villain here. Okay, I'm saying Remy, like bleeding, is just like, hey, I brought this back. I'm sorry, I stole it. Right? Because then you can have an epilogue of you always have a place here at the school, and Remy being like, cool, and Rogue deciding to stay, or I don't know. I don't know exactly how to end this. That doesn't feel like. Sure,
I think that's probably. I'd hate to say standard denouement, but right, like you said, Rogue now has a more stable home to try to learn how to be a person. In Gambit wouldn't. Basically, Gambit would I feel like his attitude would be a lot like Wolverine's after the first movie. Like, I don't want to live here with a bunch of
teenagers,
kids. I think I'm going to go out and keep gambling, maybe.
Well, okay,
but I'll visit.
Perhaps there could be a conversation with Charles that says in the denouement of like, I understand you are looking for a community. You're looking for this family. Yeah, but I don't want to live with a bunch of teenagers. Like, no. You can't stay here. But I think we could work together. And then suggesting that Gambit is going to be some sort of ambassador for Charles.
Sure.
Your mid-credit sequence can be Gambit walking into the Morlock's den and meeting Storm.
Okay.
Like, hey, anybody want to play a game of cards?
Sure, something like that, yeah.
That Gambit is basically the recruiter for Charles. Like he's not going to want to live at a school. What's it?
And I said that's not bad. And he's also by the way we've established him, he has friends in low places, so he knows where to find people who are hiding out and wanting to not be found.
Yeah.
Yeah. people who are in need of rehabilitation by way of reputation and livelihood.
I'd watch this movie.
I think the only thing, it might feel a bit slower, would be to not have that car, not have the car chase lead into the final third act and then the handover of the helmet, but instead to actually have almost a clean getaway, have them get to X Manor, and have there be either a confrontation or a near confrontation where Gambit's like, look, I'm trying to give this back to you.
And then Magneto shows up.
And he's able to give it back, and he says, you don't understand. They're on their way back here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then Magneto shows up. So to establish Gambit and the X-Men are on the same side for this third act final fight.
Sure. Okay.
That'd be the only sort of change up to what you laid out.
I could see it going either way. I don't mind that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so rewinding just a little bit here, just to looking at this piece as a whole, this being a thieves movie, this is a thief. It's a heist movie,
mm-hmm.
and turns into a big third act battle sequence, which is pretty standard Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything we want to maintain in this being a heist movie that we don't have necessarily in the end? Or does this all works for me? I love this. Like, I think this is great, especially if half the movie is the heist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you bump up against anything that we've presented here?
Now that you say it that way, we did morph this heist into a big superpower fight. But that's, and I have no problem with the Marvel formula, but that's, look at Shang-Chi. It's a cool martial arts movie until it's not. Like, then it just becomes, it's a bunch of powers.
And then it's just a cool third act Marvel movie, right? I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like, I don't, because even Ant-Man, as much as it's this thief
mm-hmm.
heist movie up until it's just him versus Yellow Jacket pewing at each other. I'm not stating this. I'm not observing this as like, well, we need to change it. I think as long as we maintain Remy's roguishness through this, that he is a rogue. He is a smart ass. He is a trickster all throughout it,
mm-hmm.
or Mike hit. Then that, if that remains consistent, then it won't feel like just bloated at the third act. Which is why I want to keep the X-Men out of it as much as possible by the third act.
Mm. Yeah, I see them. They show up when they're first robbed,
mm-hmm.
and then they show up when they're de-robbed.
Yeah, de-robbed. That's good. And keeping it contained and as low key as possible, because these aren't characters that are going to save the world, at least not at this point.
Not at this point. I like recruiting Gambit to be a recruiter. Having Charles suggest that it's time to come out of the shadows, allowing whatever follow-up mutant movies happen to be that, like,
a little more open to the public, a little more like on, because the second post-credits thing could have something to do with an Avenger, right? Because up to this point, through this whole movie, we could go Avengerless, we could go Cameo-less, right? We don't need to see, even if, like, I think it'd be cool to see things on TV, or like talking about, like, we've managed to stay off Doctor Strange's radar, we've stayed off the Falcon's radar, like seeing them on screens or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
The first post credits, or one of the post credit sequence being walking into the Morlock's den. The other post credits would be, okay, connect this to the bigger MCU at large.
Oh, actually, now that I haven't seen Multiverse of Madness yet,
mm-hmm.
but based on the little bits that are there, I don't see why in a multiverse one Xavier wouldn't reach out to another Xavier if given the chance.
There we go. So like, it's not even, it's this MCU Charles reaching out to.
Well,
Patrick
no, this MCU Charles has already been reached out to and told, you can't stay hidden. Staying hidden is actually dangerous. Here's my friend Stephen Strange, or not necessarily my friend, but talk to this guy.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That could work to have
basically the idea that events are conspiring against us staying hidden, so we must take the
initiative.
The initiative and get out in the world and get in front of the danger.
Yeah. Okay. So a Doctor Strange cameo or another
depending on how that movie shakes out.
This shakes out. Does this? Yeah. Our post-credits sequence might not work. In fact, this whole movie might not work depending on what Multiverse of Madness does. But yeah, Gambit and the X-Men. Is that what we're going to call this? Or just
just Gambit.
Just Gambit and trick people into thinking they're going to see the surprise. Cyclops is in this a lot.
he's not. That's not a lot. It's 2 times.
2 times, yeah.
In fact, I was thinking about like how that, especially that first scene would work. Like he would shoot off a blast or two, and then you would hear Jean go, "Not in the house!
Not in the yeah." Scott, no, not in the house. We just repaired the roof.
Yeah.
I now like going back to that scene, like escaping the mansion and having to go up against those 5.
And it wouldn't have to be like a full-on fight, right? It would be a running, retreating type fight. Like, get away from me, kid.
That one's got wings. That one's huge. Strong guy, fight him.
Yeah.
Jean wouldn't have the Phoenix in her. She would just be Marvel Girl. That was her original moniker, right? So she doesn't have the full Phoenix Force within her. So she just has...
I don't believe so, yeah.
So she would just have telepathy. This one's throwing snowballs at me. I like the idea of setting these characters at their early power sets because then you can make them stronger over the course of whatever tales you want to tell.
Yeah.
I would love to see Cyclops so capable because he always gets the shaft. Like Cyclops is one of the... He should be Captain America good.
I was actually complaining about Cyclops to a friend earlier this evening.
Do tell.
He should be, but he does get the shaft because he's the X-Men Boy Scout, right? He's the Boy Scout character, or at least he should be. But he's been written, and not just like in the field he's actually not. He actually is a tactical genius, but he's a jerk. He's not a Boy Scout. He is a philandering, inconsiderate, nice, sociopathic, selfish, narcissistic.
Oh my God. I was not aware.
And there are parts and ways that fits into the notion of the archetype of Cyclops. He is myopic. He only sees one thing. He's unable to relate to things outside of his immediate gaze. So in some ways that matches, but like he should be a good guy. You should like him. He should be should be the corner of a triangle that's like, that guy is everything you should want.
Okay. So what you're saying about him being this myopic asshole is just how he's been mistreated, and you're agreeing that he should be a true blue hero. Like he should be a good guy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
I thought you were suggesting he should be a myopic asshole.
No, I'm saying I can see justifications for why that fits because so I have, I guess the episode's kind of over, and I'm just sort of pontificating about X-Men and superheroes at this point.
You can do that. There's still a place for Gambit in this world.
I have a very strong feeling, not necessarily about the MCU. Characters are very round and gray in that, and that's good. In the comics, I love when characters live up to their archetypes, and we're not always undermining things like that.
Yeah.
And for a lot of them, that has to do with their power sets. I talk about this regularly. Hulk is the avatar. He is the embodiment of anger. It's why it's the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets, the bigger he gets, the more unstoppable he gets. Wolverine is the embodiment of tenacity. He just won't ever. You can throw him off. You can knock him down, but he will always get back up.
Yeah.
Cyclops his archetype is literally that. A Cyclops. He has tunnel vision. He sees one specific way. And he has a hard time, even though he can read a battlefield and run that, he's not good at subterfuge and reading people and things like that.
Which I think is a perfect foil for Gambit.
It's right? Pretty good. Yeah.
If Gambit is supposed to be this roguish, thieving.
And Gambit, right? The name, I think you can play into that for what Gambit's archetype is he he takes risks. He gambles. He tries things that he may not succeed at.
He's stealing a helmet from one of the most evil men on the planet.
Yeah.
I'm going to get away with this. It's fine. I always get away with this.
I mean, I stole it once. Why wouldn't I be able to steal it again?
I love that. Like, to make him, so having Cyclops be this like immovable Boy Scout, like this is justice. This is the right way. I always think of the animated version of Cyclops. That
was a good Cyclops. That was a good Cyclops. And the Fox movies Cyclops. James Marsden Cyclops was a good Cyclops. Honestly, I didn't mind Ty Sheridan. I thought he was a fine young Cyclops. We didn't get much. He didn't do much, but that has less to do with Ty Sheridan's portrayal and more to do with those movies.
We need more Jennifer Lawrence Mystique, okay? We don't have time. No, I think James Marsden did a really great job as Cyclops in X-Men 1 and X-Men 2. And my favorite Cyclops moment is from the first X-Men when Charles is laid out. It's this brief moment. He's laid out and Scott is sitting next to him and he's speaking very quietly. And he says, I just want you to know whatever happens, I'll take care of them.
Yeah.
That Scott truly believes in the mission of Charles Xavier and stands for it. Like he's as much truth, justice in the Xavier way as possible. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Another comparison. He is the Leonardo of the group.
Yes, there you go. Everyone likes Raphael. Everyone wants Wolverine and Raphael. No one wants Leonardo and Cyclops.
No.
This was not where I was expecting this to go, but to introduce the mutants and the X-Men through a Gambit heist movie, kind of cool. I mean, we're laying them all out. We got the heroes, we got the villains.
Now that we did all that, and I do like all this, if you really want to pull back and you don't want to establish the X-Men yet, we don't want to cast anyone, we don't want to do that, we can get way more oblique about it. Have them steal the helmet, have them get away scot-free. Right. We need to meet a few mutants. If we have to make up other ones, I really like the idea that he's working for Magneto through Mystique. And it'd be fun to put Rogue there because as much as I never liked the Rogue Gambit romance, now that I've kind of pitched a movie where it kind of forefronts it, I'm okay with it.
You're okay with it.
Especially introducing them this way, having them meet under these circumstances, which is more their origins than having them meet under the umbrella of Xavier.
I like that. I liked it too. Like just the ultimate Gambit only existed in the comics for a miniseries. It was 5 or 6 issues, and then he saves Rogue and then gets killed off.
Yeah,
and they did a really neat job. They have him very scruffy. He's a street hustler. His power set's a little different. It's not just kinetically charging things and throwing them.
I don't remember. I mean, I read that. I don't remember him having other powers.
It's okay. Whatever the case may be, finding a way to get them together is nice, and it's a unique kind of romance that we haven't gotten in the MCU per se. Like that, it's two people who come together under unlikely circumstances that find a kindredship that could very much be like Gambit, not even considering. Like just being like, hey, she's cute, but I'm here for my job and that's it. And then letting that develop into friendship over a bond of, I never felt like, you ever see a place like that? I didn't think places like that exist. I never really felt like I fit in anywhere. Like that sort of conversation, that sweet little moment of connection. And then to hear that from Forge and Strong Guy and having them also being like, yeah, there's people like this out there, and we meet in those circumstances like this. Heists. That's what I do. I like heists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suburbanites, they're all like that.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so where I was going with that is, we could, if you didn't want to establish all those characters, a couple that are a part of the crew, I think would need to be established, and you just have them get away scot-free. We see a few kids. We don't necessarily know what their powers are. Maybe we hint a couple, but we never see the X-Men. We never see Xavier, and they get away. They get away with the helmet, gets it back to Magneto. We would have to have we'd have to have some similar scenes. We can do most of what we set up with Remy reflecting on who they just like. Maybe he has another interstitial job, but he keeps thinking about the previous one or something.
Right.
And that's when he decides, no, this doesn't sit well. And so he goes and steals it back and is able to return it in a way. And we have your confrontation where he doesn't make it to the mansion before the confrontation with at the very least Mystique.
Yeah, if we went into the studio, if we're Renault, if we've pitched this to you and you're like, sorry, you pitched a $200 million movie, I need a $100 million movie. Cool. We'll suck the X-Men out. We'll pare this down.
And I think most of those beats could still be there, but still lay that groundwork. I think it's important to lay that groundwork for the more classic X-Men stories.
It would be the difference between Birds of Prey, the Harley Quinn movie, versus The Suicide Squad. If you want The Suicide Squad, we want the X-Men involved in this. If you want to pare it down to the Harley Quinn movie, which is much more, we'll cut the X-Men out of it. But I say we go with the Suicide Squad level of production here. Like, let's go big. We're introducing the X-Men and the mutants through Gambit, a Gambit movie, and the MCU can take it from here. Yeah. Right.
Or, you can demand another one from us.
Yeah, we'll do the mutants a different way. If you're like, no, we need Wolverine and Mystique. Fine. But unless you have any final ideas you want to throw out here, I think we can wrap the episode up here.
I feel like the Wolverine fans are probably upset we didn't tease Wolverine at all in this.
This is okay. Fine, I'll address. that.
Granted, we could say that with the Juggernaut fans are upset we didn't bring in the Juggernaut.
Wolverine, like Joker, doesn't need to exist every time we go back to this well, right? Like, I'm glad that the next Batman we get will not have Joker in it.
That's true.
I think Nolan was very right to not do the Joker in Batman Begins, right? Especially when you have such an iconic performance in the books. We don't need to see another Wolverine right away. I know that's their big ticket item. And as soon as they cast that, that's going to be the biggest news of any casting in superhero-dom. Like, who could possibly, Tom Hardy. No, Tom Hardy is almost the same age as Hugh Jackman. They're going to cast him younger, and it's someone we're not thinking of right now. Yeah. It's going to be Nate from Euphoria, and you're all going to be pissed. Right? But I don't think we need Wolverine. Like, the MCU as a brand, Marvel as a brand, has proven themselves pretty damn well.
If anything, right? I hopefully that's what we've just turned Channing Tatum into.
Yeah.
Is the new, you got to have Gambit in the X-Men movie.
Yeah. Or buy him out of his contract and cast someone else. Jonah Hill.
You know what? Fine. Yes.
But plenty of room from here to see, like, I am curious to see what the MCU does with mutants and how the mutants and the Fantastic Four are pretty much the two biggest cards they have left to play.
I like the multiverse. I really do. There's so much room to play. But now, honestly, I'm afraid that they're just going to use that to shortcut around a lot of things. And we're not going to see an MCU X-Men. We're just going to see mutants come in through the multiverse, and it's just going to be the Fox.
Well, mutants. Listen, hear me now. All out there listening within earshot, hire Jim and I, and we will get the mutants into your universe. I don't disagree. We can discuss that further, but for now, I think that does it for this episode. We'd love to know if we met the demand today. I feel like anyone listening might have felt like the first half of this episode was a little bit of a stop and start. But once we had that break and came back and literally beat out the movie. Yeah. I feel good about this. I'm happy.
Yeah, I like it.
So Ronald,
I'm in.
Yeah, Jim's in. He's sold. Ronald, hit us up. But anyone listening, hit us up if you agree with what we did, disagree. Did we miss something? Is there somewhere we went that you were yelling at your podcast device, going, do that?
No more blue shape changers.
You can message us directly at studiodemandsit.com or on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Studio Demands It. If you're not already, you can subscribe to us on all the pod forms and podcatchers of your choice. And if you feel like leaving us a 5-star review, you can do that right in app, and it helps us fight the algorithm.
Follow those feelings.
That's right. Reach down deep inside and
give us 5 stars out.
Pull those 5 stars. You can hit me up at TC's Big Head on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find Jim there as well.
Yes.
I
don't do the Twitter.
Jim lives on the underground.
I do.
You have to access
I'm a
him.
Morlock.
Jim the Morlock. Big thank you to 6.5 Media for everything they do to us. There's some wonderful shows out there in the 6.5 universe for every type of taste. So if you check out other stuff by them, tell them we sent you. Yeah. Tell them Jim the Morlock.
We sent you.
We sent you.
We sent you.
We censured you.
Jim sent you. Jim sent me.
Yeah. Say that.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's it for this episode. We will be back again to challenge the world of cinema and meet any demand you throw at us and improve the world of cinema. I am TCD Witt.
And I am Jim Sencha. Jim. No, I'm not.
Jim Sencha.
Jim's.
All right, that's it.
It does sound like a name, doesn't it?
Goodbye.